Susan,
Hi,
what's
hi,
so
moms.
funny?
Oh, I'm just looking at some memes. They're super funny. Makes me laugh.
That's so awesome because today we're talking to the guy who I think make Instagram's most funny yoga memes actually.
That's right. Yeah, let's get ready.
Let's do it. Let's roll the intro.
Modern Day Yoga Talks brought to you by New York City-based yoga and meditation teacher Susan Hu and Stockholm-based musician and producer Songs of Eden. Now welcome to Yoga Yay as we connect with guests from all over the world.
So hi Brian, welcome to Yoga Yay, our podcast, mine and Susan's.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited.
Okay, Brian, we always start the podcast with our kind of way to say welcome, but we call it the welcome. So we wonder, do you want to join us?
Yes, let's do it.
Here we go.
Thank you so much for joining us. You have such an interesting story, and we can't wait to hear your journey. So to start, Brian, tell us a little bit. What I read online, your story is quite interesting. You have a lot of followers on social media, but somehow you started this account as a way to make fun of yoga. And then along the way, you started to realize, oh, this is actually working. Then your life started to change. So tell us your story. I'm so intrigued by your story.
Thank you. That's a funny story. It's like the universe played a joke on me. I think it was back in 2016. I was on Instagram and I saw one of my friends on Instagram doing a yoga challenge for her studio, and she was doing yoga poses all over the place, like on her kitchen table, on her bed, like all over her house on her furniture. And it's one of those yoga challenges where you do a pose a day for your studio and you tag other people and you have sponsors. So I thought it was pretty ridiculous that someone's just doing yoga all over her house, like kitchen table, right next to right next to her food, right next to the refrigerator. So I was like, I'm going to make an Instagram account and just make fun of yoga. I don't know much about yoga, but I feel like I can make up some poses and like do yoga on different parts of my house. And my first post, like I was doing chair pose on the top of a bunk bed, the second bunk bed. And I was like elevating your practice. It was just silly stuff like, just making puns with yoga. And it became popular. I think I had like 1,000 or 2,000 followers within a couple weeks, and I thought I was super famous. Like I thought I was I thought I made it.
You were
1,000
Insta-famous.
followers. Yeah. I thought I was Insta famous. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Should I get an agent and all this stuff? I was way over. Like my head was too big then. So I figured I should start I should join a studio to learn more about yoga. Because if this
so you
Instagram
can make fun
account,
of it more.
Exactly, yeah, so I can make fun of it more, and I did, and I fell in love with the practice. I just loved going. And then I signed up for yoga teacher training, and I didn't intend to be a yoga teacher. I was just like, I'm going to do teacher training, so maybe I can teach online, do Instagram better. And I ended up like just naturally becoming a teacher and growing my page and brand and helping out people more. So yeah, it kind of the yoga journey was a joke on me now. It's like the universe is like, yeah, you want to mess with yoga and joke around with it? Well, we'll change your life.
I love that.
Incredible.
I remember the first time that I run into you, it was when I think you tagged me and Tess Rashid that we did a song together, and in the blink of a second, I was like stuck. Well, who is this guy? And I just kept on scrolling, and that's what I really love about your feed. It's that it really stands out in the Instagram community. And yesterday I was actually scrolling through TikTok, and I felt like a 5-year-old just. You see those kids, they just keep on going like that. And suddenly I was one of them. Like I was just laughing for myself. It was really hilarious. I really loved it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, TikTok will take you down the rabbit hole of just funny videos. Sometimes I get caught up where I'm like, I'll just check real quick. I'm going to check my post. And then I'm just on there for like an hour and a half looking at funny, random TikTok videos that everybody posts. It's a funny place.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of creativities there. And I think your videos and your memes on yoga, they're all so funny and really on point. It's like makes sense. People, I can totally relate to like the one you did on Shavasana just a few days ago. It's like, yes, I feel that way. So how does it work? Get into a pose, you're like, oh, this could be a funny video or a little meme. Let me do something about it. What's your process when you try to create those kind of little funny little nuggets?
Oh yeah, thanks for that. Good question. I get my best inspiration when I'm actually at the studio. When I'm actually either teaching or practicing, I'll be flowing or in a pose, and I'll hear something or I'll see something or I'll sense something. And I'm like, that is funny. That's a little ridiculous, but that's funny. You know, when the teacher's counting so slow in a pose, or when the teacher's adjusting someone and you're stuck in, side angle pose for, it seems like years that you're stuck in that pose and they're just adjusting someone. So just little things like that. Like, I feel like if I'm thinking it, maybe someone else is thinking it. So maybe I'll make a video or make a meme about it. Just trying to poke fun at the truths of yoga that no one really talks about, but they feel.
And are you always a funny guy, or it's just yoga triggered that side of you?
I've been the class clown since I was little. I used to get in trouble in elementary school for talking, making jokes. So it's been like a lifelong thing. I started really writing, AOL Instant Messenger in the chat rooms. I used to go in like chat forums and just write funny poems or funny sayings, and I had like different characters. So it's always been some form of, humor in my life. It's just when I got to yoga, it's so weird how like I just was inspired to make fun of yoga, and then now I'm just practicing all the time. So the universe is a crazy thing.
Did it come like right away, the transformation into loving yoga, or did it even from the start when you started to sort of say make fun of it? Did a part of you feel like, oh, I'm a bit curious about this in some way? Or,
Yes,
if you know what I mean.
I was curious. I was dabbling with yoga before I started the Instagram to make fun of yoga. I tried Bikram yoga, and then I really like Kundalini. So I was like, I had my feet in the water in terms of yoga. So, and I really like the connection with how it made me feel. I started my first ever yoga practice was a Rodney Yee DVD. It was an AM yoga DVD when DVDs were a thing. And
wow,
it was a 20-minute session, AM yoga, just in the morning. I can roll out of bed, and I didn't really have to do much physical activity. I just did like 20 minutes worth of poses, and I felt my body felt better and my mind felt better. So I had dabbled before, but I didn't really, the transformation came when I started this Instagram, and then I really got into it. I mean, I was practicing at least 4 times a week, diving into the yoga philosophy, changing my outlook, changing my paradigm in life.
How much of like comments and stuff do you get on in a month from people who think like, what are you doing, man? This is not yoga. Or
yeah, lately it's been pretty good. I haven't really had too much hate lately, and maybe it's because recently I just have a zero tolerance for any trolls. I don't even respond. I just delete them and block them, and I just don't even give it energy anymore. And maybe that's the reason. I'm not sure. Knock on wood. Hopefully it doesn't become an issue in the future. But I mean, I've had things where I memed a guru one time, and I just put sunglasses on him, and I said pool party at 5, and when you have a pool party at 5 and yoga at 6. And I got so much hate for that. I think it went viral some other place, like maybe some other country. And I woke up to, I did have some death threats on that. I had a lot of like hate comments. So I just took it down, and then I was just more conscious about, what I meme. If that's disrespectful, I'm not going to meme a guru anymore. I thought it was very harmless, but things like that where I'm learning, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to make people laugh. I'm not trying to offend, huge demographics. So I've learned that way. But yeah, in terms of trolls, the best that I've learned is I just delete the comments and I block them unless it's constructive feedback, unless it's something that like it's a good comment. Maybe it's a negative comment, but I can learn something of it about my content. Then I'll keep it and maybe respond. But yeah, lately it hasn't been an issue.
That's amazing. I think that probably definitely has something to do with you not really giving the energy to those comments that's not necessarily constructive or helpful. You were saying you started to kind of adjust your way of making your memes because of that meme that got some of the hate, not even hate, how to put it that way, the very negative feedback from the community. So in this day and age, people are very, very sensitive. There are so many different ways you can offend someone. Does that affect the way you're thinking when you try to create something? Or yeah, how does that affect you?
Yeah, I really look at my intention. Like, what is my intention? What is my motive on this meme? Like, am I trying to be funny? Where am I trying to be funny? Because humor is like complicated at times when you're trying not to offend everybody. But it's
Mm-hmm.
really, when you're dealing with humor and especially the yoga community, like you're not going to make everybody happy, and there's going to be some offensive things. Like I shared a picture of a meme with a guy in a suit and he's walking a peacock. And I got a lot of like negative comments about, just the animal walking the peacock, but it wasn't me walking the peacock. It was like a funny, humorous, picture. So in terms of like hate like that, I wouldn't remove it. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
remove a post like that. I would just really ignore the comments. And sometimes I don't ignore the comments. Sometimes I respond back. And I've just noticed people out there, like if they're trolls, we don't even know if they're a real person. They could be a fake account with a fake picture, and
Yeah.
normally they're from an account that they haven't even posted all themselves. So like they're not even putting themselves out in the world. And I remember, I think her name was Brene Brown. I love her. She has a Netflix special on vulnerability, but she did a TED talk one time and then just received a lot of negative comments in her comments, and she was devastated about it. But then when she realized that these people that are just making negative comments, they're not even playing, they're not even in the game. Like they're not even putting themselves out there or trying to help people out or making content. They're just trolling. So I can't really look at that. Like if someone's posting content and putting themselves out there and being vulnerable, like I'll listen to your feedback because you're out there doing something. But if you don't have any followers or you're just a private account and you're saying something negative to me, I delete,
Not worth
block,
your
move
time.
on. Yeah, it's not worth my time. It's not worth my energy because all that person wants is to like ruin my chi, like ruin my energy. And no matter what I say back to that person, it's just going to be a constant back and forth fight, proving points, then name calling. So yeah, anybody
Yeah.
out there listening, that's my best advice is don't even give that energy or space.
I 100% agree, but I think you have to separate the real trolls from something that can turn into a serious discussion. If you have different opinions on something, we can learn something from each other.
Exactly. And it's like if we were dealing with each other in person to person, we wouldn't say those mean and hurtful things. We'd have a discussion about it and we talk about it. We find commonality. But it's like this, social media and the internet is just so like extremes where it's like you either hate it or love it. And when we talk in person, we're not really like that. It's like, oh, how do you feel about this? Okay, let's have a discussion. Oh, I see where you're coming from. Let's meet in the middle.
So let's talk a little bit more about your yoga journey. You were saying you did your yoga teacher training, really dove into the teaching, and that wasn't even your intention to become a teacher. So what inspired you to take that training in the first place? And how's that been since you've now become a teacher, being teaching people how to practice yoga meditation now?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it just felt like I was on the right path. When I started to practice yoga, when I went to the yoga studio, I just felt like I was on the right path. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to share what I was learning. Because when I really got serious, I was about 30 pounds overweight. I was going through a rough time in my life, and it really was such good medicine for me that I wanted to share this. So when I got into yoga teacher training, towards the end of the training, I really liked teaching and guiding the energy of the group. Like it's just a different type of practice. When I practice as a student, it's completely different than when I'm teaching yoga, that energy and holding that space for people. It happened as an accident. I remember I was later in my yoga teacher training. I was going to volunteer for a rooftop yoga event that the yoga studio was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll volunteer. I'll take tickets or whatever. And then the studio owner is like, hey, how about you teach the first half of class? And I was like, holy crap, there's going to be hundreds
Amazing.
plus people, and I said, yes, that's the one thing that I've learned. And someone told me this when I was first in training. They're like, just say yes to the opportunities, because as a teacher, there's a lot of competition when you're in your yoga teacher training. There's just so many students in class normally, and there's just not as many opportunities to teach. So I heard, like, no matter what, take your opportunity, because that's going to be the door to get into teaching. So I just said yes. I was like, yes, I'll do it. And I was nervous for that 2 weeks leading up to it. And it ended up being awesome. Like, it was awesome. I didn't screw up. And I've never been as nervous as I've been teaching in front of like hundreds of people on my first teaching session. And then it just happened, naturally. A couple weeks later, the yoga teacher that was supposed to teach the class that I was in was sick. So they wanted me to just go in and teach a yin class. So that was like my first actual hour-long class was an accident. I wasn't planning on it. I just said yes to it. And that's
The
really
universe.
what got me. Yeah, the universe.
The universe thinks you're ready.
Exactly. The universe thinks you're ready. And anybody out there that's on their yoga teacher journey, just take that first opportunity, because you'll be in class where the teacher doesn't show up or the teacher's sick, and they're going to ask someone if there's a yoga teacher there. Just step up, do it, feel the nerves. You might stumble a little bit, but take your opportunity.
And I think that's basically life in general. I love the quote that someone said, never say no, say yes or maybe.
I like that.
Love it.
Yeah, but I mean, oftentimes you end up with, perhaps you screwed up, but you learn something from every situation, I think. And
Yes.
and oftentimes you end up like, yay, I did it, no matter what it is.
Right? And it's like the universe edging you, like, hey, here you go. This is what you wanted. And you throw an intention out to the universe, you're going to get it. So be ready to say yes, even if it's like the craziest time where you're just like, oh, wait, I'm not ready. Like, can this be tomorrow? Well, it's today. Universe says it's today.
Amazing. And I feel like a lot of times we always feel like I'm not ready. I can always prepare more. I can always learn more before I stand up. I start to put myself out there. But if we keep waiting, you will never be ready. Just throw yourself out there. We make mistakes, we learn. And another part of being a teacher, for me personally, I think when I first started teaching, I was extremely nervous. And then I started to look at it in a way that's slightly different, taking myself out of it. It's like, yes, I am teaching, guiding this class, but I didn't make up those knowledge. I'm just channeling what I learned from my teachers. And if I can purify my ego enough to step into that state of mind, then the nervousness they're just gone. It's like, okay, whatever that's coming through, I will be the channel, I will be the tool,
Yes.
and then let's see how that goes.
I love
But
it.
yeah, that's
be a
incredible
channel.
how your first class was already with over 100 people, and you were just like, okay, let me do it. And from there, you started to grow as a teacher. That's incredible.
Yeah, definitely getting out of my comfort zone on that. It was scary, very scary. But, I had a teacher tell me that your confidence comes after you do the thing that you're scared to do. Like, you don't go into things having confidence teaching yoga for the first time. Like, you get that confidence after, and then you build on it. So you got to put yourself in those situations where you're like, holy crap, can I do this? Am I ready? Do I feel like imposter syndrome? Well, it's like, just share what you know, teach what you know, and you're there for the students.
That's beautiful. And the more you teach, the more you empower you become, and we start to become more and more ready for that. So how does it feel to be a yoga teacher now, since you've been teaching for a while and sharing your wisdom with so many students nowadays?
Oh yeah, it's definitely different. I have to seek that nervousness now. Like, I need it. I need to feel nervous before anything. So I amp myself up. I get myself to a nervous, like a good nervous energy, because I found that as I've taught yoga and been more experienced teaching yoga, especially online, that I can get very comfortable and just go through the motions. But when I'm not nervous, that's when I screw up the most. Like, that's when I forget something or screw up the most. Like, I just need to have that nervousness, that energy, that excitedness in order for me to, hold space for the students and really be there to, yes, to be more focused. So yeah. Anybody out there listening saying like, oh, I can't wait not to be nervous. Like, I need it. And I feel like it just puts us at a whole new level for the students.
I so resonate with that. It's what we in music call like the second gig, like the first premiere, then you're all prepared and you're a bit nervous, but you screw up the second time usually because then you're like confident and oh, I know this. Yesterday went great. I know what I'm doing, and then that's when the mistakes are coming usually.
I feel you. And it's usually like so small. Like for me, when I'm not nervous, it's like the small mistakes. It's like, did I plug in my computer if I'm doing like an online class? Is the volume on? You know, like what it's or like right or lefts. Which side do I do? I completely forget
Totally.
a whole like flow. And I'm like, wow, I should have been a little bit more focused and nervous on this one.
For sure. That happens to me too. It's like, oh, I've taught this class so many times before and I'm just very busy. Let me not prepare. Let's just do it. And it's like in the middle of it, I started thinking about there's something else on my mind. And it's like left, right, which side did we just do? And it's like, oh, come back to this moment, be focused.
Right? Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about, you often talk about don't take it too serious. It's just yoga, or don't take it too serious. It's just meditation. I kind of disagree with that because I feel like yoga meditation, I personally take it very seriously.
Mm.
What do you say to people like me? But for me at this point, I feel like yoga meditation, it's so much more than what we do on the mat. It's really a lifestyle from the moment I wake up in the morning to how I go through the day. And I'm taking it very seriously. Maybe it's a little bit too rigid, but what would you say to people like me?
I love that. I take my practice seriously. So it's like when I say it's just yoga, it's just meditation, like it's my playfulness. Like I need to make sure that I'm playful in my practice. I need to make sure that I'm not competitive in my meditation or my yoga practice. Like I take my like when I get into something, I'm like 100%, 110% in, and I'm just like to the extremes. Like I just go so hard on it. So when I go super hard on yoga or like super hard on myself in meditation, or if I'm not there and I'm like constantly like putting myself down or comparing myself with others, and that's when I say like, Brian, it's just yoga. It's just meditation. Like don't overcomplicate this. It's not that difficult. Like all you have to do is breathe in both of these practices. Like doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. Like it's just yoga. It's just meditation. So it's like one of those things where I take it seriously, but I tell myself constantly to not take it so seriously. But it is my lifestyle. It is a way of life. I wouldn't know where I'd be if I didn't have this practice, but then it's a daily thing. Like, come on, Brian, like you need to chill. Like it's okay. Like if you don't get Warrior 1 perfectly, or if you fall out of, this
Warrior
balancing
3.
pose. Yeah. If you don't, if you're not the perfect yoga teacher, or if my class numbers are smaller than I expected them to be, it's like, come on, Brian, like it's just yoga. Like teach to the students that are here right now. They're here for you right now. Like be present with them. Don't worry about all this other stuff. So that's my theory on it.
I love it. That's beautiful. It's almost like you're saying, it's not like don't take yoga seriously, but just like don't take myself too seriously.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah.
How does it differ, like the worst day compared to the best day, so to say? Like as you said, when you don't care about Instagram likes, you don't care about how the practice went, compared to when you do care about the Instagram likes and you do care that you didn't nail the Warrior 3, perhaps.
Yeah. It's a daily practice for me. Because, my ego gets in the way sometimes. When I first started my Instagram, I'll admit it was 100% ego. I wanted all the followers. I wanted all the likes. I did all those, follow people back and they follow me and then I unfollow them. Just that game, which never works. It doesn't work at all. Anybody starting their Instagram, like you got to grow it organically and you got to engage with your following and your people, and you got to make content that is really going to benefit them. And that's what I learned, throughout my process. And once I flipped the script on that in my head, once I changed my paradigm to really listen to my audience and listen to what people need and really help to come at it as a service piece instead of all for me, then that was a total game changer. My page and my following grew organically, naturally, faster than me trying to do anything else and me trying to focus on myself. So it is a daily practice for me, because I have to tell myself, like, look, it's not about the likes. It's not about, like, if this post didn't do well, It's not about that. Like, what was my intention behind that? In my practice too, it's like, okay, do I need to make a video and record my practice and post it on YouTube? Or is this a personal practice that I just need to go deep on my mat and figure out things myself? So I would say it's a daily thing. It's getting a lot better. Like, I don't really look at where I don't do it completely, but I don't really care too much about likes or followings or any of that. I don't really focus on growing. I just focus on what I can share in my practice and try and come at it as a service thing. But it's like, your ego is still there. And I'm learning like an ego is there to be healthy for you. Like, we have to identify with ourselves and have some sort of an ego, not to shun it completely. But it's one of those things where it's a constant journey on that, like a balancing my ego out compared to how I can help people out.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying about the ego is so true, because we always feel like having an ego is a bad thing, but every single one of us, this material body is made of an ego. The ego is here for us to really identify in this world so we can navigate with the life. It's not about whether I have an ego or not, but it's about how I can purify my ego. Like the way you were saying, seeing as the things that I'm doing, what's the intention behind it? Am I in a service attitude, or is it all about me? And then it's a healthy ego. It's an ego that's uplifting, that's empowering, rather than taking us away from the teachings. I think that's such a beautiful way to look at it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's like, it's all balance. It really is. Like, for me at least, I'm practicing balance. Because it's so easy to get caught up in like all your content and social media and your day to day. And, the internet's just 24/7. It's unlimited. Like, you can make as much content as you want. And you hear, the Gary V's out there and some of the other, content creators, saying posting, doing all this stuff. Well, it's like, you got to find balance where you're at in your life as a creator, musician or a memer or yoga teacher. And it's really hard to find that balance in today's age with digital things everywhere. So yeah.
And there's a life to live outside the digital world, so to say, that people tend to forget sometimes, I think.
Yeah, it is tough to balance, have a balance, especially like being a yoga teacher, yoga practicer, finding that balance off social media as well.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of related to what you were talking about. Where do you put your energy? It's also important to like protect your energy on the internet. How much do I pour into my phone? Is it 24/7, or do I have a certain boundary? At some point, I turn my phone off. I put it away so I can bring my energy back into what's actually physically around me.
Exactly.
Such an interesting to balance, for sure. Definitely a learning process, at least for me, every single day.
Right. It's like constant.
If someone comes to your yoga class and they're very intimidated by yoga, or if someone who are thinking about starting, but they feel like I'm not flexible, I'm not strong enough to do that, how would you encourage them, or what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say, well, if you're intimidated on going to actual studio, then try yoga at home. Do it online. There's so many online classes. There's YouTube, there's Yoga with Adrian. So start at home maybe and do it for 10, 20 minutes. Start slow and don't get too crazy into it. If you come to the studio, just relax. All you got to do is breathe, stay in your mat, which it's easier said than done. Especially when you're going to a studio, you're just, self-conscious.
Look left and right.
Yeah, feeling everybody's looking at you. But I'm going to share this. No one cares about what you're doing. All the students are focused on themselves. They're thinking the same thing, like everybody's looking at me. But really, the one person that should be noticing you is the yoga teacher to guide you along the way. But yeah, just relax. It's just yoga.
And what is yoga to you right now?
Yoga to me is everything now. Like, it's just everything. I got into deep meditation practice, and I'm still in that deep meditation practice. So the yoga part is the physical, and it's more like a moving meditation for me. So I really like that moving meditation. And we hold our traumas, we hold our emotions in our bodies. So it's just like getting that emotion out through movement, and then I can be able to sit longer in meditation, and then meditation is awareness. So I just feel like yoga to me now is awareness, just being more self-aware, just being more aware of my environment and being able to listen better. It's like, you think these topics are so complicated, but once you just start, getting all the layers, all the filters out of your conscious mind, and you realize like it's just about connection. It's just about listening to the other person. It's about listening to my environment, like what's here right now, and just listening to what's in my subconscious, unconscious mind, like what's here right now in the moment. What am I feeling? What am I hearing? What am I seeing?
That's beautiful. And yoga teaches us deep down actually as the essence of us, the wisdom is already within. When we start to purify the body, purify the mind, like you said, letting go of those layers that's covering us, the wisdom starts to come from within. And I think that's probably a lot of us, at least I can speak for myself. My experience with yoga was, first I started with a physical asana. It felt great in the body. Then I become more and more attracted to the inner part of yoga, where we sit in meditation, start to become more aware of things. Then the joy comes through, the joy which is already a part of us as well. Yeah, that's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah, it's already inside of us. I mean, our unconscious, subconscious mind is timeless. It's got stardust in there. It's got our ancestors in there. It's like we have this unconscious, subconscious mind that has seen everything. It's taken a recording of our entire life, unconsciously. And then it has our ancestors' DNA as well as stardust. So it's like as we're, society has, programmed us through our conscious mind, what's all important, Instagram, all this, like getting followers and likes or whatever. But it's like you said, we already have all the answers inside of us. And that's where yoga gets us to. It's just the core, what's inside of us, and it's guiding us all the way. That gut instinct, that instinct that's always guiding us, like has the right answers,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like all throughout the day, I'm like, no, that can't be it. Just fighting the instinct. It's like, no, let me do it this other way. Let me make it a little bit more complicated. But it's
But
like
the instinct is always right.
always right. I've learned our subconscious, unconscious mind answers first, and it answers honestly. So anytime you talk to someone else too, or ask them a question, like their body language, their unconscious, subconscious mind is answering the question for you. And that's why, if we go by, logic, it's like, no, come on. Like we knew that answer. We knew that feeling of that other person. Like we knew it in our hearts. So yes, I feel that.
Yeah, totally. It's like sometimes if you're having a conversation with someone, what they're saying is not true. No matter what words is coming out, you just know. But very often we're like, okay, let's just believing it at a face value. But later on, it's like, of course, my first instinct was correct.
Right? Yeah, it's like,
Definitely.
I heard humans are the one species that don't trust our instinct. Like we're the one species that don't trust it, and it's like, it's crazy we don't.
It really is crazy. Yeah, because the human life, it's so rare. We do a lot of things animals do. We defend, we sleep, we mate, we eat. These are the things that animals can do as well. But the one thing that we can do is actually to question who we are, to tap into the deeper teachings. But if we just ignore those instincts, it's like we are probably even less than animals, than other animals.
So I would love to know what's on the plate at the moment. I know you do the Instagram, you do the TikTok, you do a podcast, you do basically everything available on the planet to do. So is there anything in particular that you're fired up and pumped about at the moment?
Oh yeah, I'm pumped about. I'm working on sleep meditations, sleep hypnosis, sleep meditations, a program. That's what I really love to do. I love to record meditations, and that's actually been my most successful content is have a meditation podcast, Relax with Yogi Bryan Meditations, and it's hit I think over 200,000 downloads, and it's just getting better and better in terms of that. And I do that. I don't really make money off that podcast just because I did it during the start of the pandemic, and I just know people were struggling. I was struggling myself, so it was one of those things where it was like therapy for me to record these meditations, because I was actually recording them so I can listen to them, and then I'm just sharing them to everybody else so like it can help them out. And then it's just grown. I get requests on, what type of meditations to make, and those meditations actually do really well because they're requests from people, so other people are feeling the same way too. So I really want to get more into recording, and sleep meditations do the best because I feel like a lot of people are struggling with sleep. And so I do like voice practices during the day, to make my voice a little bit more calmer and steady. So yeah, that's my number one thing. Like the TikToks and Instagram, like that's just fun for me. That's like a hobby and it's fun for me, but recording meditations is like my passion right now. I really love doing it. And, teaching live classes on Zoom. I've been doing that as well.
So where is the easiest place if people want to look up your work?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So you can search on Google Yogi Bryan, Bryan, and the meditations will come up that way. I'm on the Med Collective app, Insight Timer podcast. It's just effing meditation podcast, which I cuss on those meditations, and then Relax with Yogi Bryan podcast, all the clean meditations. So and you can go to my website, yogibryan.com, has the meditations there, but they're in a lot of different places. So you should be able to find it.
So with the meditation, I'm just curious, what type of meditation are you teaching to help people sleeping? Is it for like yoga nidra, something more for relaxation, or is it something that people listen to right before bed so they can really release the tension from the mind, from the body?
Sure, yeah. So it's more creative visualizations. I have done yoga nidra as well. It's similar to yoga nidra, but it's basically relaxation using binaural beats. So you use headphones, and I just take them through some creative visualizations, just relaxing the body, feeling like a wave of relaxations rolling in, rolling out, using a lot of metaphors. Like, I want you to imagine you're at the top of a flight of 10 steps, and we're going to take these steps down, and each step you take, you're going to relax even more and more. And once you get to the last step, you'll be so relaxed, and that last step will be a sandy beach, and you just relax even more. So it's just relaxing the conscious mind to get into that subconscious mind, and then allowing you to just fade away, allowing you to sleep. So I'm
falling asleep here now.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh,
Thank
sorry.
Yeah, I recently in January I'm a certified hypnotherapist now, so I can practice hypnotherapy, and I'm doing another training in a couple weeks just for more advanced hypno type therapy sessions, so I can get someone relaxed more and do more sleep hypnosis, sleep meditations.
Incredible. So you're helping people to heal their conscious mind, but also their subconscious and unconscious mind. So hopefully they can tap into that super consciousness.
Yes.
Amazing.
I love that stuff. I'm a huge fan of
Me
subconscious
too.
reprogramming. Awesome. Are you?
Yeah, so I've been taking a lot of different meditation and teacher training with my teacher, Yogi Charu. Some of the trainings I've been doing with him for many times, also assisting him. One of the things I really love is actually Yoga Nidra, because it's similar to what you're doing, but it's really through the lineage, the process that goes all the way back to Vishnu, how he used to, well, I guess he probably is still doing that, really, really relax while creating. So from those techniques, I feel like for me personally, I was able to release a lot of tension, a lot of stress, but also able to tap deeper into who I am. And I even had like really wild experiences where I was able to connect with my grandfather who passed away just in meditation. Ooh. It happened unexpectedly. It only happened once, but when those things happen, it's like, wow, meditation is powerful. It is real. And those techniques, they can really help us to go deep. So yeah, so I'm really into that as well.
I love it. I love it. Our conscious and subconscious mind is so powerful, and that's for the most part like why people are struggling, why people are sad. It's your subconscious, unconscious mind. It has all those negative thoughts. So got to constantly change it, put positive things in there, meditate, become aware of really what's going on in there.
Yeah, and I think nowadays people are more and more aware of all the trauma we have been holding on into in our bodies, in our minds. So different types of meditations like this can really help us heal. Which lead me to want to ask you, so how do you help your students or your audience to heal through the offerings you're giving, whether it's sleeping meditation, it's other types of meditation, or it's yoga practice?
Yes. Well, I feel that, everybody has their healing powers themselves. If they can just relax their minds, relax their body, your body will get to, a balanced state where it can heal itself. In
Absolutely.
terms of my thing is, I personally struggle with depression, anxiety all throughout my life. I'm an introvert naturally. And, I just know how it feels to be hopeless sometimes. I know how it feels to be sad. I know how it feels to like compare your practice with other people. So really what I want to help people out with is smile, laugh, like it's going to be okay. Like
Mhm.
maybe right now is a little crappy and you're feeling a little sad, but maybe tomorrow's going to be better. Maybe next week's going to be better. So, don't get to the complete sense of hopelessness that I can't go on and I want to take my life or something like that. I've had some friends that had taken their lives, which was really, really sad to me. Just because I felt there and I feel like everybody has got to maybe that point where they don't want to live anymore. Just because we're humans, we have some highs and lows. But my goal is to like, if you're getting to that point, maybe listen to one of my meditations or take a yoga class, or maybe I can share my yoga practice with you. So you have a practice where if you get to that hopelessness, like you have a choice of like, I'm just going to breathe through this. This is just a crappy day. Let me laugh a little bit. Tomorrow might be better. Next week might be better. Like, hey, it's all temporary.
That's such a beautiful reminder. Yeah. And I think what you're creating, whether it's through your memes, your TikTok, or through your offerings, that's a deeper practice. It's really helping people to find that light. It's like, yes, life might be crappy right now, but there's hope. There's up. Whenever there are downs, there are always ups to help us find that balance.
Yeah, yeah. There's always ups, there's always downs. There's always like a way for us to control our state. That's one thing I'm really practicing lately is state control.
Mm.
Emotionally, an emotional state control. Like, what am I feeling? There's a practice that I do in the mornings where it's like I take two opposite states, maybe sadness or happiness or decisiveness, indecisiveness. I take two opposites and I go each opposite to like really feel it, maybe feel the sadness and then feel the happiness, just so I have having a way to like I can artificially change my state because once my teacher said once I can control my states, I can really like I can really feel where I'm at right now. And the crazy thing is, the cool thing is about emotional and state control is you can do it by just changing your body language. If you're feeling sad, like just put your chest out, open your heart, feel like there's a
Yeah.
glass window to your heart that you show everyone. So it's really cool to find those practices, and that's why yoga is so awesome, is you move your body.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite meditations too, just to literally meditate on the opposite, the duality of the different
Mm.
emotions. And then you observe when I'm holding sadness in my heart, how does my body, my lungs, my heart, my shoulders change? And when I bring the happiness in my body, how does my entire body start to relax and open? Then we start to develop that awareness, like you said. And then over time, we also start to recognize at any given moment, I can only hold one thought in my mind. Without
Yeah.
one thought, there's only one emotion I can be experiencing, but I have the power, I can change it. If I'm experiencing this deep, deep depression, my mind is more superior to that. I can actually use the intellect, use the mind to change that. So my entire experience just changes. Such a
Yeah.
powerful,
It's
powerful
such a
meditation.
Yes, such a powerful meditation. It's like it's all coming back to the awareness. It's like, okay, why are you depressed? It's like, what are you
Mhm.
eating? Like, how are you sleeping? Like, are you drinking alcohol? Like, there's probably a lot of things in your control that you could change and maybe cut
Yes.
out one by one to feel not as depressed. So that it is
Absolutely.
awareness. Like, where am I at? What am I doing? What am I eating? What am I drinking? How am I sleeping? You know,
The people I'm hanging out with, the content I'm looking at, everything all has such a big impact on our consciousness. So we can always choose to find something that's more nourishing, more uplifting, rather than what's bringing us to a state of depression or darkness.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people that come to yoga, are, they have some trauma, have some anxiety, have some sadness, like they're coming for, medicine. And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, once you start practicing, you realize like, whoa, yoga's everything. Like it's the way I sleep, the way I eat, the way I drink, the way I communicate with people.
And one thing that came to mind, something I heard a guru say once that really stuck with me, is that this too shall pass. So when you're
Yes.
feeling sad, it will feel different tomorrow. So it will pass.
Yeah,
It's
well,
as simple as
and
that.
it does. Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, my teacher always say whether it's something we are loving so much, it only lasts for a while, or if it's a pose, I'm hating it so much, you're holding me in this chair pose for 3 minutes, I hate it. It only lasts for a while. So
Yeah.
when we
It's
keep that in
all
mind,
temporary.
it's just yoga. It's just a chair pose, right?
Yeah. Exactly. It's just life, it's just a day. It's a good day or it's a bad day. It's just one day.
So should we do the five speed questions?
Yes. So, Brian, we usually ask these like super fast questions where we don't give your conscious mind the time to reflect. It's just your first instinct. And some of them are more fun, some of them are just super simple. Would you
Awesome.
join us for that?
Sure, that'll be fun.
You have no choice. Yoga or meditation?
Meditation.
Ketchup or mustard?
Mustard.
Chair pose or warrior 3?
Warrior 3.
Okay, I'll go ahead with the next couple ones. Flexibility in the body or mind.
Mind.
You have to start every sentence with, as my yogini mom said, or you'll never be able to do a handstand again. No thinking.
Never do a handstand again.
Paying every store in Warrior 3 pose, or whenever you go to a sauna, you have to do child's pose.
Child's pose.
And every sentence with, remember folks, this comes from a badass yogi when you're teaching, or talk only when you're inhaling when you're teaching a yoga class.
Ooh, the first one.
First one, amazing.
Awesome. That was fun. That was a good time.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We feel like we really got to know you beyond the memes, the funny stuff, but really tap into the deeper teaching of how you incorporate yoga as a part of your life. As a modern day yogi, it's extremely inspiring how you're using those tools, the techniques you have to help the world to heal, to bring some light into this life we're all living in. So thank you so much for joining us. We usually end our podcast with a silly yoga yay. Would you join us to sing along
Sure.
with us?
Sure.
So we just say yoga, yay.
All right.
Mouse, would you like to do the honor and come?
I would love to. Are you ready, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Yoga.
Yoga. Yay! Woo!
Woo.
Too much fun. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast, your show.